Next on Newsmax Prime, police foiled that Sunday attack in Garland, but now ISIS puts out a new hit list of 15 states. The chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, Ron Johnson, will join us. Then Jeb Bush wants to win the White House and reportedly thinks he can do it without Iowa. Our political panel will discuss. Plus, the new Attorney General is paid a visit to Baltimore. But will the administration respond in the same old way? Answers from Armstrong Williams. It's Wednesday, May 6th, and Newsmax Prime starts now. Welcome into Newsmax Prime for this Wednesday. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time with us. A story of prime interest tonight. ISIS posts an ominous message saying they have 71 fighters in 15 states in our union, and they are, quote, ready to attack at our word any target we desire. And now, after claiming they were behind that thwarted attack at the Draw Muhammad event in Texas, the event organizer is in the crosshairs as well. Miranda Khan has the latest. Miranda?
JD, in that social media post, ISIS mentioned that out of the 71 soldiers that they have in the U.S., 23 have already signed up to commit acts of terror like the one attempted Sunday in Texas. In the post on the anonymous social media website Just Pasted, it lists 5 states specifically where ISIS fighters reportedly already are: Virginia, Maryland, Illinois, California, and Michigan. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest commented earlier today about the threat and the claims made by ISIS that they were behind that attack in Texas.
This is something that this administration is keenly aware of, and we're aware of the threat that it poses to the American people.
The terror group also singled out Pamela Geller, the Draw Muhammad event organizer, threatening her in that same post. Reports are that there are some 90,000 messages related to the terror group being sent daily, and many, including former senior intelligence officer Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer, say that it is part of the reason that they are able to recruit so many millennials to join their cause.
They've been able to focus on a group, a specific group, that is essentially vulnerable to their message. And there's a lot of folks out there.
The question now has become, can we use these same social media tools to stop them? The threat of ISIS using social media as a recruiting tool in this country is so concerning. Senator Ron Johnson, chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, is holding a hearing tomorrow in Washington. JD?
Thanks, Miranda. And now, for more on the story, we're pleased to be joined by the chairman of the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee, Senator Ron Johnson. And from Newsmax Washington, we're also joined by Republican strategist Ford O'Connell. Ron, this hearing, as I understand it, is going to be called Jihad 2.0. What do you hope comes out of tomorrow's hearing?
Well, hopefully the committee and the members of the audience and hopefully the broader American public really understands the reality of what's happening with ISIS, how they're effectively using social media to recruit, inspire. I mean, just think about how sick that is, creating these videos of beheadings and other barbaric acts that actually inspires, people like what we just witnessed, these two that committed the terrorist act in Texas.
Ford O'Connell, ISIS is able to reach millennials. And I know in Washington and really in advertising around the country, there are a whole lot of people trying to use social media who have done so effectively. Why hasn't the State Department, why haven't our government entities been more effective in your opinion?
Well, I think that they have been trying to do this. I also think that it's really not on the interest radar of most Americans. I mean, 84% of Americans see ISIS and a lot of terrorist groups as a critical threat to the United States, but they don't exactly understand how these franchises work and how they are able to radicalize Americans in particular within our borders using social media and the internet. The problem is it's the general public that doesn't quite understand how ISIS works. If the general public would understand, I promise you the State Department would be doing more.
Ron, we heard White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest there in Miranda's report saying the White House is concerned, and your counterpart in the House, Mike McCall, said these are exactly the kind of attacks we're concerned about. Not necessarily ISIS fighters per se, but really more ISIS supporters. Do you find that to be the case?
first of all, I'm glad the White House is concerned. They're finally down to reality. One of our witnesses, JD, just to tell you the size of the problem, will say that his best guess is that there are 46,000 overt ISIS supporter accounts on Twitter. The high estimate is about 90,000. So somewhere between 46 and 90,000 accounts on Twitter that support ISIS. It gives you the scope of the problem, the fact that we're searching for needles in haystacks. The problem is we've got a much larger haystack or more of them and a whole lot more needles.
You mentioned needle in a haystack finding these things. Have folks in Silicon Valley and the various social media entities said they're willing to lend a helping hand?
Well, President Obama did go out to Silicon Valley and talk to them about, getting the key to decrypt some of these email accounts. Obviously Silicon Valley is resisting that, and even if they agreed to that, JD, what would end up happening, and what is happening, is there are other email service providers around the world that will encrypt. And so we need to recognize the reality situation that technology is advancing to the point where we are not going to have an effective intelligence gathering capability to protect America. And it's our first line of defense is to have an effective intelligence gathering capability together with robust and continuous congressional monitoring and oversight. But this is going to be a topic when we try to reauthorize the FISA courts and what NSA is doing. And I realize that Edward Snowden made his revelations. That's doing great harm to our own capabilities. And I just want people to really understand, recognize the reality of the situation. Our ability to monitor this, just because the advancement in technology is being degraded, let's not produce a self-inflicted wound by degrading what capabilities we have left.
Ron Johnson, about a minute and a half remains. Let me ask you about something else the Senate is going to consider, this Trans-Pacific Partnership, this trade bill. Some warning bells are going off. Where do you stand on this proposed legislation?
Well, first of all, I believe we need to participate in the global economy. I'm a manufacturer, do all my manufacturing in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. We export products in Wisconsin. We export a lot of not only manufactured products but agricultural products. So, I think America has to engage in free trade, and there can only be one negotiator. We can't have 535 members of Congress negotiating. So I'm definitely going to support Trade Promotion Authority to give the president that authority to negotiate a trade deal, and then he's got to bring it before Congress and justify the deal, and we'll take an up or down vote. I think that's an appropriate process.
I just have to ask you, though, as I'm understanding it, the White House is keeping details of a lot of this secret. Is that, in fact, the case?
Yeah, currently it is being kept secret because the negotiation is not complete. Very sensitive information going back and forth. So members of Congress can go down and take a look at it, but it's not complete. When the deal is complete, it's not going to be secret. That'll be available for public display, but you just can't allow the negotiation back and forth to be made public. That actually makes sense. I don't think there's anything nefarious going on there, JD.
Finally, to the hot-button topic of that nuclear deal with Iran. Iran's supreme leader says the U.S. military has made threats over the past few days that could derail these talks, saying 2 U.S. officials have threatened Iran with military action if the talks fail. Now, I know you've had a proposed amendment. Are they counting you as part of the people offering the threats, Ron Johnson?
I don't know, but I don't see a deal with Iran preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon that's going to pave it. So all I've been asking for is let's make sure that Congress is involved appropriately to affirmatively approve this. Now, the Senate voted down us treating this as a treaty where you need 2/3 of the Senate to approve it. How about just a congressional executive agreement requiring a majority vote of approval by both bodies? I don't think we're going to get a vote on that amendment, and this is going to be a low threshold approval with only 34 senators approving this deal to get a congressional stamp of approval. I think that is not the appropriate advice and consent that the Constitution called for.
And on that note, Senator Ron Johnson, we thank you for your time as you phone in from Capitol Hill. Ford O'Connell, we ask you to stay right there because Rick Unger will join you to talk about several political subjects, including Jeb Bush. Is he going to take a detour around Iowa in his campaign for the White House? We'll talk about that as Newsmax Prime continues.